Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Spann Report podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann, and this is episode number 101. 101 of the report. Yeah, man. And I got a special guest, man. Longtime friend. We go way back. Longer than some of my listeners have even been alive, ironically. I got comedian Correy Boyd-Bell here on the show with me. Say what's up to the people, fam.
Hey, y'all. What's up? What's up, Spann Report?
Indeed. How you doing? What's going on with you?
Oh, man. Believe it or not, I am in the process of packing. Lots of fun. So if you hear somebody scream because they broke a glass, don't mind it. We'll put some tussin on it and we'll put a Band-Aid on it. We'll keep moving right along. But other than that, I got a lot going on right now. But all good stuff.
All good stuff, man. You know what? Like that moving thing, man. That's some stressful shit.
Man, and it's like I've been here for almost 10 years. Do you know what it's like to try to find and move 10 years worth of shit? You find stuff that you have been looking for, dude, forever.
Yeah.
Is that my prom dress? I've been looking for this dress since 1996. I can still wear this prom dress. Don't throw that away. Keep that.
Yeah, moving. That's one of the things I hate doing, because like every time I've moved, I pretty much moved by myself. Every now and again, I might have had the hand of one or two homies, but most of the time I was like, you know what, I'm pretty much doing this whole damn thing by myself. Luckily, like I was a bachelor and shit, and I didn't really have a whole lot of shit to move. I might have had like a couch, and I might have had like a desk or a bookshelf, maybe a bedroom set. But for the most part,
bedroom set. Maybe a bedroom set.
Hey, you know what? When I first moved in this place, all I had was a bed. I had an air mattress.
Oh.
And I was waiting for my furniture to show up. I had bought the furniture. This is the fucked up thing. I had bought the furniture, and I was waiting for them to deliver the furniture. I had taken a day off work for them to deliver the furniture, and only for them to show up with the dresser.
What?
Right?
You gonna sleep in the drawers?
Like they were like, hold on, well, you know, some of the other stuff that you paid for were on back order, so you have to wait for, you know, some of these other things to show up. I'm like, and for a while I was kind of patient with it until I called a month later. I'm like, yo, where's the rest of my shit? And it was like, you know what, it's still on back order. I said, well, you know what, come get this motherfucking dresser,
right,
and give me my damn money back. And
they showed up with that dresser. They showed up with that dresser like, I'll be right.
They just straight up, they just showed up with the dresser. That was it. I was still sleeping on an air mattress. I'm like, yo, man, like, I can't keep doing this. And I had like bought new mattresses and everything. I was just waiting for them to bring me. I was ready. Like, just bring me the rest of my shit. So, and it was funny. Like when my wife moved in, like we weren't, you know, married yet. But when she moved in, we was like, yo, we really gotta find like a bed. Like this ain't
real.
This say we ain't gonna be sleeping on the floor. Like this just ain't gonna happen.
Right.
And ironically, we went to another furniture store and found the exact same set that I had bought from this other place, and I got my shit right on time.
They brought it right there.
They brought everything. I was like, yo, and I paid less for it too. I was like, word.
Yeah, so that's why you weren't supposed to get it. I wish, man. I got like a whole. You know, my husband and I, we have all these children. We got a lot of fucking kids, a lot of kids. I'm serious. Like, if you ask my sons and them, be like, how many brothers and sisters you got? They be like, it's a lot of us motherfuckers. It's a whole lot. So I got like a whole full real house to move. And my husband was like, look, we're not moving all this stuff. We're going to take the electronics. We're going to take some of the dishes, and that's it. Why am I still packing though? Why do I have like 4,000 boxes of Mitch Mac socks? Like, this is the Mitch Mac sock box. Like, when we get there, we're gonna put these socks together because I ain't buying no more socks. It's like, dude, are you serious? Just throw it away. It's old basketball jersey, man. Come on, man. Let's just throw it away.
You know, I still got them old OHMC basketball jerseys. You know, I still got those. You know, I still got my Mr. Middle College trophy.
You better have your Mr. Middle College.
Hold on. I was having this conversation with my wife yesterday. She was asking me, she said, hey, those trophies in the second bedroom, do you still want those? I'm like, goddamn right, I still want those.
She's so disrespectful. She's so disrespectful.
But you know how hard I tried to get that goddamn Mr. Middle College trophy? Are you serious?
Man,
I was just give those to everybody. That's like an Oscar, goddammit.
It is the middle college Oscar. Me and Wesley were talking about that the other day, dude. Shout out to my boy. And yeah, those were the days.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I'm telling you. Like I said, man, of course, like I said, me and Miss Boyd-Bell, we got history. We went to the same high school, man. We go way back. So if y'all not getting middle college reference and all that, man, I apologize. But I've spoken a lot about, a lot of the people that I went to high school with are doing some great and amazing things. And she's also one of them. Mrs. Bell is a comedian. And she tell a couple jokes. We go get into all of that. We gonna get into that, and we got some more shit to talk about. But before we get into all of that, I gotta let you guys know how to get in touch with me here at the Spann Report podcast and let your voice be heard, man. You can hit me up at the hotline. The hotline is area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave me those voicemail messages. I will play them on the show, and of course, I'll respond to them right here on the show as well. You can email the show at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Leave me those emails, and of course, I'll reply to those emails here on the show as well. Go to Twitter and Instagram and follow your boy. My name on both of those platforms, of course, is Mr._Spann. On everything, pretty much. It's Mr._Spann. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. We can chop it up throughout the week. Send me your ass hat of the week submissions. We got a couple of them this week. We got a double dose of the ass hat of the week. So send me those. asshat@thespannreport.com. We can talk about some motherfuckers here on the show. Give me a review, preferably 5 stars. The 5-star reviews get read here on the show. iTunes and or Stitcher Radio, man. It helps the show grow. It costs you nothing, and it's a damn good. Go ahead and give me a 5-star review on iTunes and or Stitcher. It's very much appreciated. And for all of your Spann Report needs, go to www.thespannreport.com. Everything you need as far as the podcast is concerned is there. You can get all of the videos to the podcast. You can listen to each and every episode, all the way to episode 1 when my podcast was done in my living room with me and my laptop sitting on the couch. You can get all of that at thespannreport.com, man. And every guest appearance and all of that, articles and whatnot, everything you need Spann Report related is at thespannreport.com. And this is a very special occasion because this is also the very first time in the 6 years that Spann has been here, the very first time that this podcast has been sponsored. Somebody's actually paying for this shit to go down. So I wanted to give a special shout out to Time Life for believing in your boy. All right. Time Life is paying for this podcast, yo, like right now. So without further ado, I give you the Spann Report Time Life commercial, dude. Like this is epic, man. Real talk.
Yeah. Worldwide. West side. Yeah. Mac 10.
Yo, homie. What if I told you that you could get all of your favorite gangster classic anthems all in one bomb-ass collection? Well, wait no more. Time Life Music then hooked your ass up with ballers and shock horrors. 36 gangster bangers to get any lame-ass party popping. We got all of your favorites, too. We got Master P.
Make them say, nigga, I'm the colonel of the motherfucking tank.
AMG.
It ain't nothing like black pussy on my dick. Word to the motherfucking DJ Quick. I play old black dominoes, slapping phone. AMG's on the motherfucking microphone. I sing dick, bitch, nothing more and nothing less. You gotta see no hope. You can take the test and bring
Twist.
If I rock you tonight, you be the love of my life. Cause I'm hugging you like I'm hugging the mic. Cause I'm the one that's rubbing you right. And they pull the stick until I'm being able to lick till you drop. Even though I like to stick the swat. I'm realizing it's a variation of ways I can get you high. I'm into learning you, so pick the spot. I give pleasure to it, but let me hush and make the lust get a check. I know you don't want me to hit it yet, but don't be acting like it's a crime. Cause it ain't been so many yet. But baby, won't you let me get it well? Get it well.
Tupac.
That's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. West side, bad boy killers. You know who the realest is, niggas. We bring it to First off, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife.
And many, many more. Get your Ballers and Shot Callers collection on 2 CDs, just $29.99.
But hold on, player. If you order within the next half hour, we'll hook you up with a whole joint for $19.99. Yeah, nigga, that's right. $19.99. Then you get to check out our other collections like Booty Poppin' and Shit Droppin'. We'll even throw in our gangster inspirational album, The Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster collection, featuring one of the most gangster inspirational songs of all time, Gangsta Lean by DRS. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, nigga.
This song's dedicated to my homies in that gangsta league. Why'd you have to go so soon?
So what you waiting for? Get your ass up and call 1-800-911-5304. That's 1-800-911-5304 to order Ballers and Shot Callers collection on 2 CDs for $19.99 plus shipping and handling. Call now or order at timelife.com. Peace.
All right.
What? Man. Let me just say something, man.
Okay.
Shout out to the sponsor, man.
Man, look.
First of all, the songs that was played is like real music. I didn't hear a fatty nobody and a little nobody. That was real growing up back in the. But I promise you, I want to go rob somebody after that. I want to go and carjack somebody after listening to that group of songs.
Man, look. Listen, I appreciate you, Time Life.
Yes.
I will never let you down. I don't know what you think of my listeners. But Time Life, I really do appreciate you. Thanks for cutting that check. It's very much appreciated. It's very much appreciated. Yeah, man.
Sound like if you mess around and don't, somebody's gonna be at your door.
Hey,
yeah,
well,
man.
Hey, I don't know. You know what? I live in the burbs for a reason. I'm amongst a lot of white folks who have guns. You know, I try to be like the white folks to a large degree when it comes to that.
Hello.
This ain't what you want. Keep your ass where you.
I'm just trying to tell you, man.
Like I said, leave people alone, man. Every time I see a story with somebody that shot down like somebody trying to rob them or break into their house, like, hey, man, leave people alone.
This ain't what you right. Stop trying to run up in these stores and run up in these places trying to rob people. This ain't that. Not no more.
Yeah,
people,
it ain't.
They ain't scared no more.
Well, you know what? Like I noticed, and I know you still in this. Are you still in the city?
No way. Chicago? I too am with Shay Whitey. Cause I got now. Look, though, I ain't a killer, but don't push me.
Right.
Know, I knew how to. You know, it's all good now. I'm out the hood now.
Yeah.
But I'm not a stranger to it. You know, my people still live there. I grew up. I was born and raised there. But you know, I'm noticing, and I'm still right here in the heart of the South Side of Chicago, that these people, especially the last couple weeks, they're not playing with y'all. You're not just gonna run up and take stuff from people no more. People that get up and go to work every day. These people that are running these mom and pop shops. You're not just gonna run up in they shit no more and just try to take what they work every day for. They are shooting you down.
Yeah.
And who am I to say that? I can't blame them.
Well, you know, it was funny because, like, I feel bad saying it was funny, but there was a story that came out, and it was right around the corner from my grandmother's house. Like, those two young guys that
right around the corner
in the liquor store, and folks took it like that shit hit social media before it hit the news. Like, I saw those kids laid out on social media.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of those things, man. It's like, come on, man. You hate to see that, but at the same time, it's like, leave people alone.
Leave people alone, man. Kids nowadays, and it's so sad because now all of a sudden everybody is invincible. I tell my kids all the time, a lot of kids have no respect and they have no fear. Because they have no fear, they have no respect. you know, so they think that they're invincible, and they go around and they doing and saying whatever, you know, and you run up on the wrong person, and now all of a sudden we hearing that my baby ain't never hurt nobody. You know, he was a good kid. That's what we hear on the news. But the pictures that we got, see, the difference now is screenshots and social media and camera phones have completely wiped out he said, she said. Completely. You can say what you want to about who your baby was when he was sitting in the house for 2 hours, but social media and these videos and all these screenshots show us something altogether different. And let's call a spade a spade. Do I think anybody deserves to die? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But there's a rule book. There is a rule book, and you can't just live by one part of the rule book and then forget about the part that say you could end up dead or in jail. You can't leave that part out. You know, it's part of the story. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's very true. But I think there's like a double-edged sword with that, though, because, you know, you'll run into an instance where, say, for instance, like with Trayvon Martin, right, where when Trayvon Martin was killed, one of the things that the media kind of, you know, did was they went back into his social media, and they went back into, well, hold up, man. Trayvon Martin wasn't this kid that was just playing football. Trayvon Martin was doing this, and Trayvon Martin was doing that. And they used it to sort of kind of justify what happened.
Villainize the victim.
Yeah, they used it. And so, you know, there's that double-edged sword with it where, yeah, it can be used to, you know, kind of, I would say, discredit like this innocent child, you know, so to speak. But at the same time, like, what some of those things, you know, like his social media presence may not necessarily be applicable to what happened in that very moment, right?
I agree. That I absolutely agree with.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. But again, you know, like I said, we got to call a spade a spade. Don't tell me that these kids that we see that just posted 15 minutes ago about what it is because they so smart, they're going to post exactly what it is that they're going to do. Then they end up dead out on the street. And now they was a good kid. But then you got, you know, the Trayvon Martin situation where, you know, yeah, you see this on the social media, but what happened for him to die right now? You know what I'm saying? Would it be a different story if it was, you know, black on black or gang or whatever the case may be? Probably. But, you know, it's just sad all the way around because I always have to find out where in the hell are these parents?
Yeah. Where
are these parents? We want the police to raise our kids. We want the teachers to raise our kids. We want the church to raise our kids. And we letting the streets raise our kids. And nobody is saying anything about the parents. That's what we was taught. Charity starts at home and spreads abroad. What happened to the village?
I think what happened to the village is, and to some degree, I think I would lay some blame at our generation with this, right? And the reason that I would say that is because, like, there was a lot of things that happened where, like, say, if we were out fucking up, and I know this sounds old, like, this is how I know I'm becoming an OG. But, like, the reason, like, when we came up, like, I can remember a time where I could walk to school 5 years old by myself. And the reason that I could do that was because people in the neighborhood knew whose kid I was, and they knew that they could report back to my mother, my grandmother, my aunt, my uncle, my grandfather. Like, they knew my family, right? Nobody now knows anybody. Everybody kind of sticks to themselves. And if anybody else says, hey, man, I saw your son out here doing this, or I saw your daughter out here doing this, you know, you don't have the agency now to kind of give this kid any correction, right? So if I see a kid out fucking up, I can say to the kid, hey, man, you might not want to do that. And that kid may say, hey, man, fuck you. You ain't my daddy.
Yep.
You'll get that. And his mama may say the exact same thing. Hey, you not his daddy. You're not going to talk to my son that way. And so when we were coming up, you know, to some degree, like, we had that level of respect to where, hey, Miss Gray may be able to whoop my ass because my mama told her she could.
Yep.
I'm not going to do that, you know. And to some degree, we've kind of gone away from that. And I'm not even saying, like, you know, and I know a lot of folks have different attitudes about it, you know, like corporal discipline and stuff like that. But there was a consequence to fucking up when I was coming up. Like, there were consequences behind it. And so, and And I'm not saying that necessarily that corporal punishment is the end all be all, because I look at my situation and then I look at my brother who grew up in the exact same household that I did, and my brother was grown. My brother done did some fucked up shit. To where my brother's been in jail for the past 12 years now. So, you know, I look at that like, you know, I can't say that whoopings are the end all be all either. But
but it made us better people.
Yeah, it certainly it worked on some people and it didn't work on some others.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that, you know, when we start talking about like the attitude that a lot of the kids have now, you know, a lot of that falls on our generation, because we were the ones who showed them, hey, that you can kind of get away with some of this stuff. I'm not going to let anybody else do anything to you. I'm not going to let anybody else say anything to you. And so now these kids grow up and they're like, well, shit, you ain't my mama. I ain't got to listen.
Right.
To that, you know?
So, yeah, but a lot of that also has to do with the reason that there is no village, again, also has to go back with consistency. When I was growing up, I hate saying when I was growing up.
I let you know your ass is old, chief.
That is the same as me now knowing that I'm old, because I cannot live without watching the news. I got to be in the house to watch the news. And if I miss like the first 7 minutes, I hate everybody, right? But when I was
glad that it comes on 6 times a day.
And it's the same news, and you got to see all of them. Who cares if it's the same story about the snowstorm on the East Coast? I need to know how much snow fell between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. Please just tell me. Keep telling me.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, we went to one grammar school. We lived in one place. You went to one, well, in our case, 2 or 3 high schools. But you knew everybody in the neighborhood. But now there's no consistency in the neighborhood. Kids move from place to place. So you don't get to grow up with them same friends no more. You don't get to, you just kind of, there's no consistency. So no, my neighbor can't, help discipline my kids, because I don't know what's going on over there. A lot of our families back in our generation, they all, I know they mama and, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, but it's just a sad situation. And what can we do about it?
Well, I think
I'm here.
That last point that you were making, I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I was just saying that, what it is that we can do about it, so many different layers. At this point, especially in Chicago, we're up to about, it's the 23rd?
Yeah.
And we are up to about 217 shootings, people getting shot in the first month of January, of the year. So what do we do? What can we do?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a multi-layered kind of situation, and this is just one aspect of it. Like we can go on and on about just this one aspect of it. Then you can talk about like the education system in Chicago, or even in Detroit, or even in New York, or even it's so many layers attached to the level of depravity that goes on within the inner city. But at the same time, and this is one of the things I kind of push back on with my show and stuff like that. Like a lot of times we start blaming the poor for the things that are happening to them. And, it's easy. It's very easy to just say, well, if they only did this, or if they only did that, it's a lot of different things that are going on that bring about a situation to where, a kid finds himself going to a liquor store, figuring he's going to knock it off. And rather than him knocking it off, he ends up dead on the south side. Man. There's a lot of different things that go on with that, man. But
we can talk about that all day long. We can talk about that all day long.
I got some questions for you, girl.
Right. We keep going with that.
That's a conversation that
we're gonna have to bring me back for that. Bring me back.
That's a conversation that will forever be here. But I wanted to ask you about you being a comedian, right? Yeah. I remember the first time I saw Correy Boyd-Bell. It was I can't tell you the date. I can't tell you the date, but it was an orientation for Olive Harvey Middle College. And Correy Boyd-Bell was a golden ambassador speaking on behalf of the school.
I sure was, man. I was such a scholar.
I know, right? But that was the first time. But the thing of it is that like you've always had an ability to stand up in front of a crowd and speak. And one of the things that I was kind of thinking about when I kind of first became aware of your endeavor into being a comedian was like, yeah, that's kind of like natural. That's a natural fit. You know what I mean? So like one of the things I wanted to ask you was like being a comedian something that you always wanted to do, or was that something that like kind of grew on you as you got a little bit older? Like how did that come about?
Man, that was absolutely not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be Debbie Allen from Fame. Hello. I wanted to be the ultimate dancer. I wanted to be Dominique Dawes on, gymnastics. I wanted to be an Olympic medalist. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to, absolutely not comedy. Absolutely not comedy. And it wasn't really until I went through and got into my last year at the middle college that I wanted to be, because the middle college will make you believe that you can be anything. You can be
damn right.
You can be anything. So by the time
I was supposed to be Barack Obama before Barack Obama was going to be Barack Obama.
It's true. It's true. And I was supposed to, be Maya Angelou. So comedy really didn't, believe it or not, comedy didn't even come about until maybe about a year and a half ago almost. And I think I only did it honestly because I got sick and tired of people going, "You funny, you missed your calling, you should be on stage, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Look, I'm over it. That ain't my thing. I don't mind standing up and making announcements and doing some public speaking, motivational speaking. I am totally, Iyanla Vanzant. That's me. But I will help you get your life." But comedy really wasn't my thing. I didn't even go to my first comedy club until maybe about a year and a half ago.
Really?
Yeah, my very first comedy show I went about a year and a half ago. After I had did some stand-up, some impromptu stand-up on a trip that I went to in Jamaica. And I went to Jokes and Notes for the first time about a year and a half ago to support one of the fellow comedians that was on the trip with me. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. And I ended up meeting up with another fellow comedian by the name of Tanisha Rice, who's here in Chicago. And she had a little, like a Monday night open mic room. And I started going to the open mics. And people was like, "You should put her up. She's funny." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And one day, about a month later, she was like, "Look, I'm going to put you up there. I'm going to call you up and you either going to go or you not." Now, mind you, I ain't working on no jokes. I'm not, none of that. It was like, you can call me up there, but it's going to be dumb. And she ended up, she called my bluff and she called me up there. And it was like, all right, sink or swim. Sink or swim. And I swam. And honestly, I have been on stage ever since. And it's crazy because even still right now, I don't think I'm funny. I don't. But people think I'm hilarious. And I'm like, this shit is not funny. This is real life that I'm living. I'm living real life. When I get my tax money, I'm going to be so irresponsible and go rent a whole house full of furniture from Rent-A-Center. That is life shit.
Oh, shit. Hold up. I can't hear nothing.
See? See how funny that is to you? That's not funny. That is real life. Because when you give a Negro some money who ain't never had no money, they don't know to go buy real furniture that's going. I'm gonna walk in the Rent-A-Center like a baller, like, yo,
give me that fridge.
Give me one of everything. Give me everything, because I'm balling out up in here. So comedy, it just kind of took off from there, and I have literally been traveling once or twice a month, every month, on somebody else's dime to go tell jokes. And it really has, it's just been a blessing, man. It really has. I just need to pay the bills.
I hear you, because like I've been kind of following a little bit. I see when you like, yo man, I'm going to Philly, yo man, I'm going to like Jamaica, hey, I'm gonna be in like Florida somewhere, like I'm like, hold up, like damn, she really out here telling them jokes like
that. Right. And it's really not even, like I said, most of it is me just telling what really goes on in my life. And people seem, and it's never a dull moment. It's some funny shit going on outside of my door right now.
Right.
On the other side of my door, I got an 8-year-old that is sliding me notes under the door. Like, Mom, can I have some water? That's what's going on the other side of my door. You know, so I live the funny stuff that I talk about.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of where that came from. And I don't see it ending probably ever.
Yeah.
That's my goal, is to not ever stop making people laugh.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's definitely what's up. You know, it's funny too, like one of the things I was thinking about, because like as I was asking you to be on the show and everything else, of course, I looked at over your YouTube and everything, try to find like, let me listen to some of the sets, right? And so I was on the YouTube and I was watching some of the sets and I was laughing. But one of the things I thought about is like when I would go to a comedy show, because I think the last comedy show I went to was like I think I went to go see Gary Owen.
Oh, I love Gary Owen.
Yeah, I went to go see Gary Owen and like what was that, Michael Blackston, and it was a few other people at that show. But one of the things that kind of I've always noticed when I go to comedy shows and whatnot is that they have this thing about no one recording the show and no one taking the show. Has it ever been a time where like you were at a show and you just like or you just had that request like, yo, I'm working out some material, I would appreciate it if you guys would just let me work out this material and not record this shit, so I don't end up like Hannibal Buress and everybody's like asking me about Bill Cosby?
Absolutely not. I'm at the point of my comedy career, like, please record it, share it, tweet it, YouTube it, FaceTime it, call your grandmother, put it in the church bulletin. No, I am not there yet. You go out, like, I'm usually out maybe 4 or 5 nights a week doing comedy, in addition to working a 9 to 5. I get up, I go to work, I come home, I count all the kids, make sure they all there, kiss my husband, eat, run back out the door. That's kind of how it is. During the week, I go to a bunch of different, open mics and clubs and stuff like that. And that's where I normally I work out, is what we call it. So I'll throw some stuff out there, see if it catch. And if it bombs, it bombs. If you ain't had a bombing moment, you lying. Every comic bombs.
Yeah.
Sometimes, nobody has had like a set where everybody is always, like, oh, that was good. No. So I ain't got that request yet. As a matter of fact, I hope you taping this now, and then we're gonna blast this out. I want everybody listening to record what I'm saying right now and send it to Black Planet and all of Yahoo groups. We're going back to MySpace. Put this on MySpace with the little bubbles in the pictures.
I'm telling you, like what was that? Black Voices.
Oh, Black Voices.
Well, motherfuckers learned how to type in the chat rooms.
Yes. Yep. AOL. Remember the AOL chat room?
GeoCities. Niggas had pages on GeoCities. You had to hold up, and GeoCities had it set up to where like it was a real street, and like you had to like look at your shit like, hold on, I'm on Asperger Street.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's my page right there.
Yep, that's me. Yeah, no, man, I won't put it on all of that. I'm trying to get as much exposure, but I understand why though. I do understand why. Like, I went to Kevin Hart's concert this year, the newest one, and it was like security was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, look, you cannot record, you can't even have your phone out when Kevin comes on stage, and they had security literally like in every section putting people out that had their phone out, because this is my material. It's a certain way that I want to present it to the world. And if I have you out here recording it and chopping it up and misconstruing, or, it's sideways like this, just that kind of stuff. It's all about how people want to present their product to the world. And I now understand why bootlegging was so frowned upon. You know me, I'm a nigga. Yeah. I'm from the hood. I'm like, why would I give my money to Denzel in the show when I can give it to Lil Bobby out here who ain't got no money trying to make? Now I know why. But no, I ain't there yet. Bootleg me. Please do it. Do it right now. Do it. Like Nike. Please.
Oh man, hold on. You almost had me spit this shit out. It was funny that you mentioned Kevin Hart though, because you know, like I remember I was watching I think it was Sway in the Morning, and I know Sway in the Morning, like he'd had Kevin Hart on the show. He's had like Mike Epps on the show, and I've gone to a Mike Epps show. It was a pretty good show. And one of the things, like there was like a little bit of a tiff between Mike Epps and Kevin Hart. And one of the things that Mike Epps was saying was that you know, Kevin Hart was stealing jokes, or that he would have people go to smaller comedy sets and he would use that material. And now this joke that was, you know, pretty much cultivated by a smaller comedian was being used by Kevin Hart, which pretty much kind of cannibalized the careers of a lot of smaller comedians.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that was one of the things I was kind of thinking about, like as far as the videotaping, you know, like even just working out material and having somebody like, you know, just kind of videotaping your thing, whether or not you would have any apprehensions about that.
It's joke jacking is it's a big thing here in Chicago.
Oh, here in Detroit, I've heard Foolish talk about that a lot here in Detroit.
Yeah. Joke jacking is serious. It's a serious thing, and I have a different perspective on it coming as a newer comic on the scene, because I just think that there are certain things that is a blanket topic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that if you're a comedian and you want to talk about it, you should be able to talk about it. You know, some comics will say, you know, because they are the first person that ever heard them say it. Like if somebody else says it, now you've stolen their joke. If I walk into a club and hear somebody doing my set that I know is personal to me, and I know you stole it, I can tell that you stole it because you're almost saying it verbatim. Yeah, I got a problem with you. But if I'm talking about, yeah, you know what, I'm different. I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump, and here's why. And then I hear somebody else standing on stage talking about why they're gonna vote for Donald Trump. They didn't steal that from me. That just may be their opinion. We just happen to have a similar, you know, a similar idea, or you know, about that blanket topic. But it can get real serious because people take a lot of time to, you know, tailor their sets and tell their jokes, and for somebody to just hear you and hear that you get laughs off of it, and then they try to turn around and say it in a place where they don't think that you know, that it'll get back to you, that's some serious shit. I've seen comics putting garbage cans over shit like that. So seriously, you know, I learned very early on, which would be very early for me, would be like 3 months ago. Very early on, to make your set as personal as possible, and then put a twist on it. Then that way nobody can say that you're telling their jokes. Because you got some of these comedians out here who you've never heard of, who may say something that sounds just like what you're saying. You know, so it's a really serious subject, and it can be really touchy. So it's all about basically doing your homework. Watch these comics, you know, watch their sets, listen to them, learn from them, but don't mimic them, because now you look dumb. Because if they're really popular, people gonna know. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. You look stupid, and you gonna bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's funny too, I guess, with like you know, I see it even extend with social media. Like niggas get mad if you steal a meme. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like you didn't own it. Fuck your meme.
Like, hey man, I gotta put my watermark on everything I put out now, dog, because these motherfuckers be stealing my shit.
Oh, I hate that.
Well,
like I can't repost. Like now I have to announce that this is a repost. Why?
I've been guilty of that, fam. Like I've been guilty of like calling motherfuckers out. Like I've seen videos that I put up on YouTube years ago slowly start finding their way on Facebook, and people like taking my intro and outro off of it. But
well, that's different.
but they can't get rid of the watermark that I had on the video, so they just put. I'm like, hey, this is my shit.
Right.
Like, well I could have shouted the nigga out at least. Goddamn.
That's different. That might be a little different.
Yeah, man. Now, You know, another thing that I want to ask you about too. Like, I noticed you'd have the Pretty for a Big Girl t-shirts. How did that get started?
Believe it or not, Pretty for a Big Girl, is something that I got sick and tired of hearing. I got sick and tired of hearing, oh, as a big girl, I got sick of being over complimented. Like, if I can, when I get up and put my clothes on and I wear 6-inch heels and, my ankles ain't wobbling and I ain't looking like a newborn deer when I walk in them, people will tend to over compliment you as if you did something so great. When it's like, no, like people say it all the time, like, oh, you're so cute for a big girl. And I'm like, no, bitch, I'm pretty, period.
Yeah.
People say that about being funny. Oh, you funny for a chick, for a female. I'm like, no, I'm funny, period. Even when you get old, people will say stuff like, oh, you look good for your age. No, I look good, period. Why is it always
Qualifier?
A qualifier for it? They say it to dark-skinned girls. You're a cute little dark-skinned girl. No, I'm just cute. And it's like you get sick. I got sick of hearing it. I even heard it. I even heard it on my wedding day. Believe it or not. So yeah, so it was a small movement, and I moved on from pretty for a big girl because I think people got it, and then I came out with another. I'm crazy about t-shirts now. I don't know what I have on one right now. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it says "Female Comics Hustle Harder."
Okay.
They do. It's a comedy is dominated by men, and to go out on stage and try to, be dominant in a world that has already set you as a minority and still not look like a sex symbol or look like you're getting over because you're a female and, this and the other because you're basically talented, is what I'm finding to be a really, really hard thing to do. So I am crazy about t-shirts and I'm going to be a big girl for a little bit longer, but understand this, big girls. We got some things that we got to work on. We got to get rid of that bottom stomach. We cannot take that bottom stomach in 2016. We got to get rid of the one that you tuck in your panties. You know the one I'm talking about. That one. We getting rid of that this year. We're not taking that in the 2016. Them back titties, the reason that you can't wear the spaghetti strap shirts, we getting rid of those too. We're not taking them in the 2015. In 2016, we leaving them in the past. We got to get rid of those. Okay, we can still be big. We can still be big, but we got to do it right. We around here shaped like chicken nuggets from McDonald's.
Oh shit!
Waist trainers ain't fitting. We want a waist train, but the rest of us is still fat. We walking around looking like Peter Griffin. That's not okay, and we gotta stop that, lady. So we gonna
You made me totally forget what the fuck I was about to ask you next.
Sorry, I'm just saying. I got this platform, and I need to send an announcement from Chicago to Detroit to around the world.
Oh wow!
Get rid of the bottom stomach, ladies. We are no longer covering them up with our leggings. Thank you.
I was gonna ask you.
You don't know.
Hold up.
You don't know.
I was getting ready to ask you about whether or not you ever run into any like male comedians who are resentful of the fact that you're a woman and that you're funny, and they've they've made situations harder than they had to be because of that fact.
Not really. Only because even though the comedy world is dominated by men, they really do. No matter where I've gone, I was going to say just in Chicago, but no matter where I go, but especially in Chicago, they embrace funny female comedians. They do. They book us. They put us on their shows. They don't treat us any different because the ones that are really, really funny, we just come in commanding the room and they know that we ain't going to take no shit.
Yeah.
You can't just treat us any kind of way. You're not going to skim us on our pay. You're not going to, not put us on the flyer and then say, here, you can go up and you can get a couple minutes in. They don't do that to us. So I'm appreciative of all of the guys who will pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I got a gig. They looking for, a comic and I thought of you. The comedy world as far as women, they can be really, really supportive. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Have you run into any janky promoters?
Hell yeah.
What was it like?
What? Hello.
Hey,
look,
put it out, baby. Put it out.
I'm so over the "let me holler at you" speech at the end of the night. Come here, let me holler at you. Yeah, nigga, I will take the microphone. No, you gonna give me this. I will wrap the microphone up and take it with me. You gonna pay me something. I'm gonna pawn this and put some gas in my car. But it happens all the time. You have my thing is, if you're gonna put on a production, you have to have a budget. Period. You can't put on a production and then hope for ticket sales and hope for door sales and hope that people show up.
Yeah.
My bills ain't paid off of hope. Now, give me the option of whether I want to do something for you, just on the strength. Because every show that I do doesn't always have a monetary value. And I'm okay with that. Especially right now, still being early in the game. There are shows that I will pick and choose just because I want to get my face out there.
Yeah.
And, but let me decide that. Don't leave me in saying that this is what you got. And then when it's time to go, you're like, let me holler at you for a minute. No, play. You can say that shit from there. Say what you got to say now. But I have had some nights where I done went home and was like, man, $20, huh? Just like, yeah, man. And then we'll look you right in your face like, here, you can take this old funk ass $20. Oh, now it's funk ass $20. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I just, there are a lot of times where I'll make the decision on whether I want to do something on the strength but for the most part, I'm going to need a deposit and I'll get the rest as soon as I get there before I pick up a microphone and bellow one joke, because people take advantage of you because you don't have to bring things. All you have is your gift. When you don't have to bring a keyboard or a drum set or lighting or, stuff that has to be set up when people don't physically see you. They think that, just because you're in a room that you should want to do it. No, people pay me to pick up a microphone. So just because I'm at your family reunion, be like, here, Corey, get on the microphone. No, man. And I'm not acting funny. But I don't allow people to prostitute my gift either. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I do a lot of, I'm good for walking in and talking a little smack on the mic. I ain't funny like that because I ain't nobody yet. I'm still trying to get a link card, dog.
I hear you.
I ain't that person.
It's funny because like I hear this a lot when it comes to when it comes to comedy. Like where you got a lot of these janky promoters who will promise that they have, they have this venue, or that they're bringing these particular artists on, or that that they make all of these promises to the audience. They make all these promises to the artist, and then at the end of the day, they can't really produce what they said that they've been able to bring together. And it's funny because like real short story. Like I remember there was a time where my father was going to open up for BB King, right? Singing. And my uncle, my great uncle, Purvis Spann, was promoting this show.
Purvis, that sounds like a jank right there, Uncle Purvis.
Well, that name though, like Purvis Spann was like the blues man in Chicago. So like if you know Purvis, but you know the name. And I remember being there. Like and it was funny because this is the last time I ever like really seen my dad. So this is like really funny shit, right? But what happened was my father was supposed to open up for BB King at the Sabre Room. Oh, and I remember that was the first time I met BB King. Like BB King sitting right there, like that's BB King, like sitting right there, like goddamn, that's
right there,
like right there. So I'm talking about how it was an honor to meet BB King, man. I can't believe I'm in this room with you people and this is going on and all this shit. And my father's standing there talking to Purvis, and he's like, "Yo, man, where my money at?" Like, and my uncle, and this is what was kind of like odd about this is my uncle and my father arguing about money in front of BB King, and I ain't giving a fuck about what they talking about. It's BB King sitting in the room with us right now.
Right.
You know,
right.
and I can remember my dad just being like so upset. He was like, you know what? I ain't never working with your uncle again. Like, I don't give a fuck, man. You still got that $200 you said you was gonna give me to help me move? Like, like that was the thing. That was the thing. And like, I hate to like, let's just put this out here now. I would hate to like have this perception of my Uncle Purvis that he was a janky promoter. I don't know what business arrangement these people had between the two of them. All I know is my father acted as if my Uncle Purvis shorted him. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But we got some other shit to talk about. We got some other things to talk about. Some things have been going on throughout the course of the week. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, we gotta talk about it. So, of course, you guys know that the Oscar nominations have come out, and there were no niggas nominated for nothing. Like nothing.
Who's surprised though?
You know what? I can't say that I'm surprised, but at the same time, I think I think it's one of those things to where like with say for instance like with Rosa Parks when she finally sat down on the bus, like everybody knew that this was some shit that goes on in Montgomery, Alabama. Nobody's surprised, right? Nobody's surprised, but I think it's finally got to a point where folks are just finally like, yo, man, fuck this shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, as we found out, like the Oscars didn't nominate any black folks for practically any fucking thing. Out of that came the video that Jada Pinkett Smith put out about not participating with the Oscars, right?
Right.
And I want to play this video because I think it's important that we play this video, and I think it's important that we actually listen to what Jada Pinkett had to say in this video, because a lot of people have kind of ran with what Jada Pinkett said or what they think she said and have made their own, have kind of like run with their own narratives with it. So I'm going to play this real quick, and we're gonna start from there. Uh-oh. Can you hear that?
I can hear it.
Okay.
Barely.
Yeah, hold on just a second. Let me make sure that, because something's not exactly acting right here on this computer. So let me switch this up here for a second. Sorry, people.
Hi, today is Martin.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't help but ask the question, is it time that people of color recognize how much power, influence that we have amassed, that we no longer need to ask to be invited anywhere? I ask the question, have we now come to a new time and place where we recognize that we can no longer beg for the love, acknowledgement, or respect of any group? That maybe it's time that we recognize that if we love and respect and acknowledge ourselves in the way in which we are asking others to do, that is the place of true power. I'm simply asking the question. Here's what I believe. The Academy has the right to acknowledge whomever they choose, to invite whomever they choose. And now I think that it's our responsibility now to make the change. Maybe it is time that we pull back our resources and we put them back into our communities, into our programs, and we make programs for ourselves that acknowledge us in ways that we see fit, that are just as good as the so-called mainstream ones. I don't know. Here's what I do know. Begging for acknowledgement or even asking diminishes dignity and diminishes power. And we are a dignified people, and we are powerful, and let's not forget it. So let's let the Academy do that with all grace and love, and let's do us differently. I got nothing but love. Hey, Chris, I will not be at the Academy Awards, and I won't be watching, but I can't think of a better man to do the job at hand this year than you, my friend. Good luck. And to the rest of you, nothing but love, always.
All right. At any point in this video, did you hear Jada Pinkett Smith call for a boycott of the Academy Awards?
No.
No. Do you think that Jada's motives were a bit selfish when she did this video?
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
I think everybody jumped on the bandwagon and said that the timing was bad, and it was because her husband didn't get nominated for something that she felt that that he should have gotten nominated for. And that's all fine and good. I just think that when wrong is wrong and you're sick of it, is there an appropriate time? When do we say when? You know, if he had gotten nominated and didn't win, and she made the same speech, would it, if the speech had came from someone else, maybe like an Idris Elba, who everybody felt like should have received, you know, an maybe the writers and directors from Creed, you know, that were African American, if they would have said it, would it have been okay? You know, that was kind of my take on it. It's like, after all of these years. I'm sorry, that's my sister's it's her birthday, and she want me to sing happy birthday to her. Well, hell, she's gonna have to wait. She's supposed to be listening to the show anyway. But anyway, you know, when do you say when? And that was just my thing. And she never once begged, you know, and said everybody should just, you know, boycott and this, that, and the other. I didn't hear that. But I think that because I had this discussion with some of my friends as well, and they were like, oh, the timing was bad. And it was like, why? You know, why? If she wait until a month from now to say, okay, we shouldn't, you know, support the Oscars, or whatever the case may be, or whatever it was that she said, you know, what makes it different then as opposed to now?
Yeah. Well, you know, and of course, I agree with you. Right, I agree with you. One of the things that I thought was interesting was the fact that folks were coming after Jada, but they weren't coming after Spike Lee, who pretty much echoed the same sentiments.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, Spike Lee said, "Yo, I'm not going to the Oscars. I'm not about to. I'm going to the Knicks game. God bless. Oh, he's a Knicks fan, but I'm going to the Knicks game. I'm not going. I'm not asking for anybody not to go.
I'm just saying I'm not.
I'm not telling Chris Rock not to host, as some other people have asked him to do, as Tyrese is going on record to ask Chris Rock not to host the thing. Snoop Dogg has gone on to say that he's, you know, like, fuck the Oscars, as if Snoop Dogg had anything to do with the Oscars any goddamn way. But, you know, it was interesting to see so many people kind of run with this narrative of, yo, Jada Pinkett Smith is calling for the boycott of the Oscars, when Jada Pinkett never told anybody to boycott a goddamn thing. She said, hey, maybe we should probably start doing our own thing.
Exactly.
And in an age where you got like a lot of folks who are making a lot of money, to say that, hey, black folks need to start doing our own thing. We need to kind of start pooling our resources together, and we need to start kind of, you know, uplifting our own, so to speak. And when she's actually calling for it, and you got black folks like, man, the only reason you talking shit is because, you know, your husband didn't get nominated.
Right. And it's like,
and the funny thing to me about this is, you know, and I made an allusion to this before, you know, like, you know, folks will say, well, why are they talking about this now? It's like, it goes back into, like, you could talk about the Montgomery bus boycott, right? Where you could look at why all of a sudden there was a boycott of the Montgomery. Like, white folks will look at it like, hey, why are these niggas all of a sudden mad? No, they've always been They've always been mad. This has always been a fucking issue. Now people are saying, hey man, fuck y'all. We ain't dealing with y'all like that no more. And what happened with that was you saw that, hey, some changes had to be made. Some money was all of a sudden not being made by the bus company. And that, even so much to the point where like the Academy just yesterday started coming out with sweeping changes as to how they even induct Academy members.
And guess what? Now, if we do get nominated and we do win, I don't even want it. I don't want your pity award.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, that was the thing. Like, nothing's going to change this year, right? But you know, as a bit of a conciliatory effort, they've tried to say that, like, you know what, we're gonna make changes as to who's eligible for the Academy, who's eligible to actually vote for the Academy.
Right.
You know, all of the we're gonna, you know, include all of these different diverse groups of people to include, you know, to basically encompass what these different efforts actually mean. And I'm not saying that like, you know, we should be celebrating to the hilltop, like, yo, we finally did it, we made it, and all this other stuff. But the thing that I'm saying is, like, at some point, people get frustrated, people get upset to the point where they're like, yo, man, I'm not fucking with y'all like that no more. And then that's when certain things start to move. In much the same way that, like, say, for instance, the Montgomery bus boycott, right? Now, I wanted to play the Janet Hubert shit, right? I just went to my Facebook. I mean, I just went to my website only to see that the Janet Hubert video has been taken down.
It's gone.
Off of everything.
Yep.
Everything. I had the video up earlier this week. I had the video as early as yesterday. I had to make changes to my website to go find another version of that video so I could have it today. I can't play it today because they got written of that one too. Janet Hubert said some really fucked up shit about the Smiths, right? And I wanted to play what Janet Hubert said because a lot of what Janet Hubert said, a lot of people were jumping on that bandwagon. Like, yo, she ain't saying nothing that was wrong. She ain't lied none. She told, you know, and let's be clear, Janet Hubert, if you guys aren't familiar who Janet Hubert is, Janet Hubert was the very first Aunt Viv on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
She was the dark-skinned Aunt Viv.
She was the dark-skinned Aunt Viv. Some would argue she was the better Aunt Viv, right? Right? So she's had some beef with Will Smith for a long time. For a long time. And at every opportunity she's had, she's went out of her way to kind of shit on some of the things that Will Smith has done since, you know, she hasn't been on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air anymore, right? I wanted to play you guys a video, but I'm pretty sure at this point in the game, a lot of you
everybody's
already seen it. You may have already seen it, but I kind of wanted to make some points about it. I don't necessarily need it to make the points that I'm going to make right now. I just wanted to play that for context value, right? But one of the things that kind of caught me with the Janet Hubert thing was how quickly everybody were to jump on the Janet Hubert bandwagon to say that she wasn't telling any lies, right? One of the things that she said was the fact that the Smiths don't necessarily do anything for anybody else, right? They were doing this for selfish reasons. That the only reason that Jada Pinkett Smith was speaking about a boycott, which Jada Pinkett never said that she was doing. She never said, she never called for a boycott. She said, yo, I ain't going. Right?
Right.
She went out of her way to say, hey, you know, when I called for, you know, a solidarity with Will Smith to get like a raise increase on the Fresh Prince, he told me no. Now, mind you, Will Smith might have been what, 19, 20, 21 around the time the Fresh Prince was really popping off. We have to understand, like, yo, that was damn near 30 years ago. Damn near, right? So she's still upset about that, right? And I've talked about this on my show where, like, yo, I'm not even the same guy that I was 5 years ago, let alone being the same dude that I was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or whatever else, right? So that was interesting to hear her say that, right? That, you know, she was still mad about that. But the fact that she went out of her way to say that the Smiths had done absolutely nothing for, like, you know, for as far as Hollywood is concerned, when it comes towards to, you know, helping other Black actors and actresses, she really went in on, you know, talking about how they exercise a bit of nepotism. You know, you guys only put on yourselves, your kids, and your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And one of the things that, you know, of course, we have this thing now in 2016 called Google. And let me just make this. I've said this on my show many times. Google is your motherfucking friend.
Sure is.
And it's at your fingertips.
Yep.
It's at your fingertips.
Yep.
Okay. I see you. It's at your fingertips, right? So the Smiths have actually gone out. They are in production right now of making a documentary, actually a mini series on Emmett Till, in conjunction with Jay-Z. In conjunction with Jay-Z, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith and Overbrook Entertainment are making a Emmett Till HBO miniseries, right? That's scheduled to come out later on this year, right? Will and Jada Pinkett Smith also gave $150,000 to the Justice or Else campaign. That was the new Million Man March. Farrakhan was doing the Million Man March, or on the anniversary of that. They donated $150,000 towards that effort, right? Jada Pinkett Smith actually has, and Jada Pinkett and Will Smith have actually produced. Oh, what the hell is that? But they've actually produced a documentary on Angela Davis, right? We can also talk about the fact that hold on, I got it pulled up right here. That also that Jada Pinkett Smith has gone in front of Congress or the Senate. She's testified in front of the Senate to bring awareness and attention to human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and she's actually gone forth to form like a coalition of different organizations to kind of combat that exact same thing. I'm going to have the links to all of this shit on the SpannReport.com, so you guys can go check that out for yourself. But the thing that I found interesting was how easy it was for folks to fall into this whole thing of the Smiths were only in this shit for themselves. And there's so many different ways that you can go into Google and you can find these things out for yourself, and you can say, hey, hold up. You know what? As much as I enjoyed Janet Hubert's little thing, she was petty than the motherfucker about that.
Yeah, my feeling on that was, even if she had some valid points, I couldn't even receive them because she spat them from a place of anger and bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem that I had. You know, even if you had valid points, I couldn't even hear you because it was so personal. You started off with Honey Child and da-da-da-da-da and Oscar Mayer Wiener. And it was like, girl, the only time that you are relevant is when you trying to come for somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, some people, yeah, you're right. There are plenty of issues going on in the world. There will always be a bunch of issues going on in the world. But right now, this is what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? This is the one that we're addressing right now. So either get with it, or either you with it or you not. Either way. But it's like everything was so personal with her. And it was so, you know, it was real personal. And she saw this as her moment to come back and shine. And it was like, no, man. You know, and a lot of people did jump on that bandwagon. You know, and it's funny that we have all of this. And when it was all happening to Monique, you know, everybody jumped down Monique's throat. You know what I'm saying? When she said what she said about, you know, the Oscars, and when she, you know, after she won her Oscar and not playing the game and this, that, and the other, now blackballed and hard to work with. And it was like, no, man, you know, start opening your mouth and standing up for something. Yeah, you're right. That statue will not hold up if you take it in line at Popeyes and say, I won an Oscar and give me a 2-piece biscuit because I am an Oscar winner. You know, I get it. I get it. You know, we need to start fighting for these budgets and who's sitting at these tables, you know, and who's making these decisions. I get it. But you got to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? When do you get angry? When is it okay? And then now it's like, when is it okay to get angry? Because now I can't get angry because I'm only getting angry because it's convenient for me. And it's like, no, man, you know what I'm saying? So I thought, you know, Polo Janet just needed her little 3 minutes, and it was like a ha 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 in your face, and it was like, no, you old and bitter is what you are.
And another interesting thing too is like, you know, she kept talking about how they don't, like, we got kids dying in the streets and all these other things. It's like, well, hold up. I ain't heard you speaking about this shit either.
Nothing.
I ain't heard you say a motherfucking thing about Black Lives Matter. I ain't heard you say shit about Laquan McDonald. I ain't heard you say shit about Eric Garner. I ain't heard you say shit about Trayvon Martin. I ain't heard you say a goddamn thing about any of these things either.
How about where you come from? Where you been?
Exactly. But now you're going to come for them in their moment where they're basically just saying, hey, instead of being mad, and this is what I took kind of from what Jada was talking about, is maybe we going to do our own thing. Let them have who they going to do. Let them do what they going to do. We going to do our own thing over here. And that's what I took from what Jada said. And so for Janet to kind of go on this whole thing where you guys are worried about this on a selfish level and everything else, yeah, it was petty and it may have even been entertaining, but at the end of the day, was it rooted in truth or was it just coming from a petty place? And a lot of that shit coming from a petty place, and a lot of it wasn't rooted in truth. Right. And it was sad to see so many people just kind of rolling with that shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was easy, but you know.
I see you gotta go. I see you gotta go. So before you leave, let everybody know here at the Spann Report how they can get in touch with you.
Please, 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 like I said, share everything you see about me, unless it's them bad naked pictures. Don't share none of them. Put them in the garbage. But please follow me on Facebook at Correy, Correy, Boyd, Boyd, and that's Y is in yellow, D is in David, -Bell, Bell. That's Facebook. Instagram is Correy Bell, same way, CORREYBELL, and the same for Twitter as well. If you and my website, correybell.com. Is where all of my information, my booking information, all of my videos, anything that you want to know about me is there. You can find me all throughout the city. I'm all over the place. I want to send a big shout out to all of the spots during the week. If you're in the city of Chicago or if you're visiting, Monday nights we do SLR Bar out in Harvey. Tuesday, you can catch me at either the Velvet Room down on 22nd, or out at the Island Bar. Wednesday night is so many different places. The infamous Jokes and Notes. You can go to Sugar Babies, which is also in Harvey. Thursday night, we're usually at DJ's. Friday, God's grace, I'm usually getting on a plane and flying to another state to make somebody else laugh. And Sunday nights, which is also important, Sunday nights we are at the Tilly's in Cal City, and now Tantrum, which is down in the South Loop as well. So all of that stuff is on my Facebook page, my Instagram. If you follow me, I'll definitely make sure that you know all of that information. And a big, big, big thank you to my fellow scholar, my homie, my buddy, my dog. You got to have me back on, man, because we got to talk about we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got some throwback stuff we need to talk about.
Yeah,
like your shirt and tie. I got a picture. I had a picture. Spann and I, we went a ball together, and he had on this silk tie, satin. I don't know what it was, and these shiny shoes, man.
I was fly, goddammit. You ain't gonna.
We have come from a mighty long way.
I was fly. Now, if you want to talk about that belt, though, that belt was something that I shouldn't have worn that belt.
Nothing to do with that.
I'm just saying.
Nothing to do with nothing. But I can't lie, because I had on jet black stockings too, like somebody's grandmother. Oh, wow. That was so 20 years ago. Let's just stay with that.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say
nothing. So 20 years ago. We'll leave that alone. But I do appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody, that listen. Please, follow up, hang out, add me as a friend. I'm going back to my Black Planet page. Add me on there.
You got one.
Yeah, I still got a Black Planet page. Black people meet, farmers meet, Christian mingle, all of that.
Indeed, man. I appreciate you, Corey, for coming on here at the Spann Report. Yeah, it's been fun. I hate that you got to go so early.
Man, but, no. But if not, I'm gonna be single and put out. I'm gonna have to stay
I
here
know.
while everybody else is moving on.
You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Right.
I appreciate you coming on, Corey. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Holla at y'all.
All right now. Yes, indeed, man. Shout out to Correy Boyd-Bell for coming on here at the Spann Report. And yeah, man, it's always a good time. Always a good time. But here's another thing too. Your man Spann, if y'all been watching live, your man Spann been over here knocking back these brews, knocking back this Grand Marnier with apple juice, and I gotta use the bathroom. Right? So before I'm not leaving. We got a lot of shit to talk about, but I'm gonna leave you guys with some tunes to kind of keep you guys occupied until I get back. Check this out.
I love you so much, baby. I don't think I have any words to explain it. It sounds like yours and mine. Look into my heart and tell me what you see. You're my Valentine, and I can tell you only have eyes for me. Chills down my spine. Every time you take another glance at me, it's so divine. Gets me to unwind. I'm holding on for a while. Cause you know you're qualified. You know you're qualified. Every time you can, let's mesmerize. Every time you touch me, every time we kiss, you can have my all my mind consists of you. Your secrets safe with me. Tell me what you do. I know you don't lie, because every time I look into your eyes, they tell me it's the truth. Chills down my spine, forever by your side, where I swear I'll stay. Because I'm satisfied the way you love me, cause my mind I'm hypnotized, holding on for now and on. So satisfied, yeah, yeah. You can handle this every time you kiss, yeah. It's no right. Every time you touch me,
I didn't know that's what I was leaving y'all with. Yeah, man, I thought I was leaving y'all with something else, but yeah, I had to go. I really did. But yeah, man, appreciate Corey for coming on here, man, and having a good time with us here at the Spann Report, man. But just getting back into this whole discussion, man, because there was a few points that I needed to make and that I wanted to make here about what was going on with that. You know, like I said, Jada never called for a boycott. She said that this was something that she wasn't going to participate in. And later on, Will Smith came out to support his wife and said that he wouldn't participate either. Spike Lee had said a lot of the very same things that Jada Pinkett Smith had said, and he wasn't met with nearly the backlash that Jada Pinkett Smith was met with, partly because of the Janet Hubert thing. But he was saying the exact same things. And of course, like I said, I have my own opinions about Spike Lee. You know, like I said, I believe that Spike Lee owes us all a bit of an apology for that Chirac movie that he produced. And I'm still not necessarily over the fact that he fucked up NBA 2K16 for your boy. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, like one of the points that I needed to make was this. And I've seen this topic. I've seen this point being made over and over and over again. And it's this idea that because this is something that is relative to rich folks, right? Rich black folks. Why do I give a fuck about what's going on with the Oscars? Right? As somebody who's going on through his day-to-day, who's worried about whether or not I can keep food on the table, whether or not, you know, my job is giving me the hours that I need and everything else. Why do I give a fuck about what's going on with these rich ass people? Right? These are first world problems. Right? And I want to kind of bring it down to where we think about what we deem important. Right? Now, I can understand where folks to be like, you know what, those are rich folks' problems. I don't give a fuck about that. That has absolutely nothing to do with me, right? And I can understand that, and I can appreciate that. The thing that I would say for that though is simply because it's not important to you does not mean that it's not important to someone else, right? Like there are things that happen at your job every day that you find upsetting. You know what I mean? Like you worried about, like, if you work in a fast food restaurant, like why this chick why the chick in the drive-through isn't putting the orders in right now. They hollering at me because the sandwich is fucked up, or why isn't this idea that I presented at the job being presented as my idea? This dude at the job that presented it as his idea, and I'm not getting any credit for it. You know, like we all find things in our line of work where we want the recognition. We want the recognition, whether we would admit to it or not. We want to be recognized for the work that we put in on a particular thing, right? And so for Will Smith, or for Jada Pinkett Smith, or whether it be Chiwetel Ejiofor, God damn it, I'm fucking his name up. But Idris Elba, so to speak, or Michael B. Jordan, or a Michael Kugler, or any of these other people who had legitimate claims towards being nominated for Oscar and to not be acknowledged for the work that they put in. Like, say, for instance, even with the movie Creed, Sylvester Stallone was nominated in Creed for a role that he's been doing for 30 fucking years. You know what I mean? And if the director can't see any type of acknowledgement for the way in which he directed Sylvester Stallone in that movie, or Michael B. Jordan, who was the star of that movie, can't seem to get any recognition for his role in that movie, but Sylvester Stallone is getting credit for what he's been doing for 30 fucking years. There's an issue there. Right? And so, like, you run into instances where, like, yo, man, somebody at your job may get recognition for some shit that they might not necessarily deserve, and that you probably deserve it. And to kind of look at it as if because these people are rich, that what's happening to them doesn't necessarily mean anything, kind of diminishes the argument, right? It's a way of like, you know what, whatever the fuck they talking about ain't important, or whatever the hell's going on with them, that ain't got nothing to do with that, right? Like, and so when we were talking about Janet Hubert, and she was talking about how, like, you know, the Smiths never speak out on this, or the Smiths never speak out on that, or, you know, we got kids dying in the streets. And I saw Young Jeezy, right? Young Jeezy was talking about Flint, Michigan, right? And Young Jeezy put out a tweet to say that, yo, we worried about the Oscars, but, you know, people getting poisoned in Flint, Michigan. And as someone who's speaking to Flint, and as someone who's speaking to the Oscars, you know, we can do both. You know, one of the things that I've never said, like, you know what, I wonder what Young Jeezy thinks about this situation. You know, in much the same way that, you know, Chingy has come out to endorse Donald Trump. Like, you know what, when I'm going to vote, I wonder what Chingy thinks about this situation. I'm not going to these dudes to figure out what I need to think about and what I deem important, right? And I'm able to occupy a space. I'm able to think about and recognize the injustices in each of these spaces and speak to them, right? And I think we one of the biggest things that I want to kind of impart with this particular episode is like, yo, nobody's distracted, right? That's one of the things that we always talk about, particularly amongst African Americans, man, particularly amongst Black folks. We start getting into this whole thing of, yo, man, you know, you talking about this, but all these other things, you know, all these other things are going on, man. Nobody's distracted. We can occupy these spaces equally. We can be equally upset with all these other things that are going on. And the thing with the y'all are distracted argument is really this. Niggas want you to be talking about what they mad about at the time. That's it. If you're not talking about what these motherfuckers deem as important, then you're distracted, right? And so for someone like myself who kind of, like, you know, tries to speak to a lot of different issues and tries to, you know, kind of navigate amongst the nuance of what these issues mean and everything else, every time I see somebody say, yo, you're distracted by this because you're not talking about that, and it's like, yo, man, like, it's a bit frustrating, right? It's a bit frustrating because even though I have absolutely no shot at winning an Oscar, who the fuck am I to say that what they're talking about isn't important? Especially when we talk about representation, especially when we talk about how some people view themselves. When you go to the movies, it's important that there's a reason why certain movies are marketed towards certain people. You go to a movie a lot of times because you see yourself in that movie, right? In much the same way, like say for instance, like a movie like 50 Shades of Grey, which was panned by a lot of the critics and everything else. But women went to go support that movie. Why? Because they had a vested interest in that. They wanted to see themselves. They wanted to live out that fantasy of the romance of what that 50 Shades of Grey novel kind of brought to them, right? In much the same way that like a lot of hood cats will go see Juice in the theaters. A lot of hood cats will go see Boys in the Hood in the theaters. A lot of people gravitate towards the images that reflect them. And so for us to act as if that's not important, for people to act as if, hey, because the Academy isn't recognizing these folks, or you guys are acting like y'all are surprised by this. Why y'all acting like y'all surprised? Nobody's surprised. Everybody knows this is what it is. But they're sick of it. They're sick of it. And we don't have to keep tolerating this. We can bring attention to this. In much the same way that we bring attention to, we're tired of police brutality. Hey, we sick of y'all killing us. It's not that we just now frustrated with this shit. We've been frustrated with this shit forever. It's been an issue forever. You know what I mean? So when we start having these little internal fights as to what we deem is important and everything else, man, it kind of diminishes our standing, right? I get it. You might not necessarily care who wins the Oscars. I can't tell you the last time I won the Oscars, but I'm not going to tell somebody who's affected by that it doesn't mean shit. That's counterproductive. It's just like if I tell you guys about some grievances that I have in my job, you guys don't give a fuck about what happens in my job, but it means some shit to me. It means some shit to my family who's reaping the benefits of, you know, the work that I put in every day. So like to diminish these types of things, man, is counterproductive in my particular perspective, right? It's counterproductive. We can't keep telling people like what the hell they talking about. It ain't important because I don't give a fuck about it. We can't keep doing that. The best way I think that we can kind of mitigate these particular situations, hey, if you don't care, hey, just shut the fuck up. You ain't got to say nothing about it. But don't try to tell somebody else to shut the fuck up about something or be like, hey, well, I don't know why you so surprised, man. They always been doing it. Hey, we don't need that discussion right now. You're not being helpful right now. What you're talking about means absolutely nothing to the people who are being directly affected, right? And it's funny because, like, say for instance, we talk about the water crisis in Flint, Michigan right now, right? City of 100,000 people. Overwhelmingly black city. If Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith came out and said, well, shit, it ain't got nothing to do with me. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, yeah. If Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith came out and said that had absolutely nothing to do with me, you motherfuckers would be pissed off, right? A lot of people will be upset. A lot of you motherfuckers don't even live in Flint, don't even live in Michigan. But if they came out and said, hey, that ain't got nothing to do with me, why y'all mad about that? Y'all ain't affected by that either. You would be upset. Right? So, you know, we got to kind of roll back on this whole just jumping on this shit and saying like, yo, man, this ain't got nothing to do with me, man. Like, I don't understand why y'all upset. Hey, this thing is important to a lot of people. Representation is important to a lot of people. And I think it's important that we don't diminish how people feel about certain shit because it's not important to us. Right. I think that's one of the things that we really need to kind of we kind of got to get past that, you know. And I've already spoken about, you know, the fact that Janet Hubert was, you know, she kind of talked about a lot of, she talked sideways a lot about the Smiths, and a lot of it wasn't rooted in truth. A lot of it was basically her own personal gripes, and people jumped on her personal gripes and rolled with it. And, you know, Google is your friend. You don't have to look stupid. I've said this many times on my show. Google is your friend, you know, and it's amazing how many people just read a headline or watch a video and are so ready to be petty. Beyonce needs to make that a song. I don't think you're ready for this petty. Like, real talk. Because so many people just kind of hopped on that, never even investigated what the fuck that Janet Hubert said, like, yo, you know what? They never did do anything about that. And then you find out later, like, oh shit, they probably did, and I didn't know about it. And all I had to do was Google it. You know. So yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of that shit, man. And you know, I want to give a shout out to my the homies, Rod and Karen over at the Black Guy Who Tips. They did a really excellent job of explaining, or basically laying out all the receipts of what the Smiths have done, considering what Janet Hubert said that they haven't done. So I really would encourage you guys to go and check them out and listen to their show, and get a comprehensive list of the receipts that the Smiths have when it concerns the Smiths and their activism, and the Smiths as it relates to the Black community, man. I really would encourage you guys to kind of go ahead and check them out and talk, you know, in regards to that, real talk. But it's come to a point now where we are going to, we got the ass hat of the week this week. And where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, shit.
Yo, we got some hats now, motherfuckers.
Let me redo that.
Yo, we got some hats now, motherfuckers.
Indeed, man. And this week's ass hat of the week is none other than Stacey Dash, right? I'm pretty sure you guys are aware that Stacey Dash kind of put her foot in her mouth this week. It's been trending all over Twitter. It's been trending on Facebook. Stacey Dash has probably been talked about more this week than she ever has at any point in her career. Right? And I promise you guys that this is probably going to be the last time I ever even mention Stacey Dash, right? Because Stacey Dash it's pretty much a lost cause. Pretty much a lost cause. But what she said was, it was asinine, but it speaks to the audience in which she was speaking to. And it also speaks to the legitimacy of a Fox News audience, of who they deem is important enough to speak on Black issues. And they chose Stacey Dash to speak on Black issues on Fox News. So here's Stacey Dash and why she's the Spann Report asshat of the week this week.
This morning, there's some growing outrage with some over the lack of diversity in this year's list of Oscar nominees. Filmmaker Spike Lee and actress Jada Pinkett Smith say they're not going to go to the Oscars next month after an all-white list of nominees was announced for the major categories for a second year in a row. Join us now to weigh in, actress and Fox News contributor Stacey Dash. Stacey, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, what do you think about this?
I think it's ludicrous.
Why?
Because we have to make up our minds. Either we want to have segregation or integration. And if we don't want segregation, then we need to get rid of channels like BET and the BET Awards and the Image Awards, where you're only awarded if you're Black. If it were the other way around, we would be up in arms. It's a double standard.
So you say there shouldn't be a BET channel?
No, I don't think so. No. Just like there shouldn't be a Black History Month. You know, we're Americans, period. That's it.
Are you saying there shouldn't be a Black History Month because there isn't a White History Month?
Exactly. Exactly.
Al Sharpton has jumped on this boycott bandwagon. He says, don't watch because Hollywood, here's a quote, Hollywood has become like the Rocky Mountains. The higher you get, the whiter.
The whiter you get. Well, that's not necessarily true. And if it is, you know, that needs to change. What I find astounding is that we've had a president who is black in office for the past 8 years, who gets most of his funding from the liberal elite in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Yet there are not very many roles for people of color. How can that be? And why is it just now being addressed?
I can understand Jada Pinkett Smith's frustration that her husband wasn't nominated for, you know, he did a great job in the movie Concussion.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, what does that say about how people are selected for these awards?
Right. That's assuming they're selected by race, which I think would be a very a disservice to the people who are looking at the films and making the choices. Maybe they need to be more, you know, integrated, and there need to be more diverse people in the process of electing
in the academy. The demographics of the academy apparently are secret, but for the most part, according to some investigation out in Hollywood, it's predominantly white males.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. So maybe that says something about who they select, or are they looking for that, or the best movies and the best actors?
I hope they're looking for the best movies and the best actors. The good news is that there's attention brought to it now. But like I said, over the past 8 years, we've had a president black who gets his funding mainly from Hollywood, the elite liberals.
Yeah.
So it's odd to me that this has now become such an issue.
All right. Now, a few things here. All right. One of the things that, you know, Stacey Dash goes out of her way to say is that we shouldn't have a BET. We shouldn't have a Black History. We shouldn't have Black History Month. And she even went so far as to go on Twitter to say that, like, yo, ask Morgan Freeman why Black History Month is so ridiculous for us to have. And, you know, BET kind of clapped back. Black Twitter kind of, you know, like, you know, read her rights to to a large degree, right? But here's the thing, man. You know, of course, we know that there's a reason that there's a BET. The reason that there's a BET is because, one, a lot of shows don't necessarily get greenlit on mainstream media. We just didn't, right? And at a time that BET and me are pretty much the same age. When Bob Johnson decided that he was going to create BET, this was 35, 36 years ago. There was a time with BET, you didn't really see a whole hell of a lot of Black folks on television, right? You just have that, there just wasn't happening. But at the same time, too, I think she misses the point of niche marketing or niche programming, where there are programs that are aimed at certain communities, right? If we have Telemundo, who's pretty much aimed at a Latino audience, right? A lot of Spanish speaking programming on that particular channel, speaking to a large demographic of Hispanic and Latino people here in the United States, right? Big channel, right? In much the same way that you got Lifetime that's geared towards women, in much the same way that you have OWN, which is also a woman's geared towards a woman's geared station, right? Like there's a thing called niche programming, and a lot of folks gravitate towards things that represent them, right? And it was odd that Stacey Dash would call out BET when she cut checks that BET paid her. Like, she cashed checks that BET paid her for being on shows like The Game. And she was in a plethora of magazines like Smooth and Jet and Black Men's Magazine. Like, and, you know, and I'm not one of those people who are attempting to like slut shame Stacey Dash, because I've seen that happen a lot too. You know, like a lot of people are talking about whether or not Stacey Dash was, you know, how she presented herself to Black audiences, and now she's taking on this mantle of being this conservative Black person speaking on behalf of Black people. Because let's make no mistake, the reason that she's involved with Fox News, the reason that Fox News even has her as a contributor, is because Stacey Dash has made herself willing to talk shit about Black people. Let's not make that mistake, right? But at the same time, I'm not going to slut shame her for modeling in Black Men's Magazine. I'm not going to do that. The entire point of Stacey Dash making this particular ridiculous claim is the fact that she's being a hypocrite, right? Stacey Dash is the biggest hypocrite known to man right now, because she was perfectly willing to accept these checks from BET and all these black men's magazines that she played, that she posed for, the rappers whose videos in which she was the love interest in these videos. Like, she was perfectly willing to cut the check for those, cash the check for those. But as she's gotten sort of irrelevant, so to speak, nobody's really checking for her in the rap scene. Nobody's really checking for her on, like, nobody's calling her for acting jobs. Like, the biggest thing with Stacey Dash right now, I can't tell you the biggest role that she's had was Clueless. How long ago was that? How long ago was that? That's her biggest role. And so it's sad to see her do these things, but it's not as if I was ever looking at Stacey Dash as if she was going to give me some profound shit, right? Like, no one has ever could say, like, you know what, I wonder what Stacey Dash thinks about this situation. Nobody's ever done that. And so this is part of the reason why this is going to be the last time I even speak to anything that Stacey Dash says on television, because she's never really said anything of substance, right? She's never said anything of substance. Even in this particular interview with Steve Doocy, she damn near contradicts her very first statements. The point of the fact was that people were boycotting because they felt like the Academy Awards were not being inclusive and were segregating against competent and able black folks. Black folks ain't necessarily doing that to white folks when it comes to BET and the NAACP Image Awards and everything else. Sam Smith won for the best R&B artist just last year on the BET Awards. He didn't even show up. Why? Because he thought, just like Stacey Dash thought, that he had no shot at winning. Guess what? His ass won, and he wasn't there. Right? So it's not that you only win if you're black. No, we recognize black achievement here, but that's not to say that Robin Thicke never had a shot. That's not to say that Justin Timberlake never had a shot. They have shots over where we at. Not necessarily the case when it comes to the Academy Awards, when it comes to acknowledging the fact that there are a lot of performances that are presented by African-American actors, directors, producers that just simply aren't recognized by the Academy. So, yeah, for that, Stacey Dash is the asshat of the week, but she isn't the only asshat of the week, right? We get a double dose of the asshat of the week this week.
Yo, we got some hats now, motherfuckers.
Now, the other asshat of the week for the Spann Report this week is none other than, I don't know how many of you guys may be familiar with this guy, but this is L. Brooks Patterson, right? L. Brooks Patterson is the Oakland County executive. Now, of course, you guys know we have the Flint Water Crisis going on in Genesee County. And, you know, you have a lot of people who were told that this water was safe. The National Guard has been called out. You know, water filters are being distributed. People are donating bottled water from across the country to address this issue going on in Flint, right? And L. Brooks Patterson went on television to say that he thinks that this whole thing is being overblown, that the city of Flint wasn't being poisoned. And he based that on a conversation that he had with a friend of his who said that he had been drinking the Flint water and he hadn't been poisoned. So I want to play this clip real quick so you guys can kind of get the context of where this comes from.
Kids are so impressionable. My job is to teach them to make smart.
I'll be damned. It's a damn ad. Let me go ahead and mute this ad as we as we wait for L. Brooks Patterson, the L. Brooks Patterson piece. You ain't getting paid off of you. Ain't getting no free advertising off of me. I'm just saying.
Pipe bomb, calling this water crisis a hoax.
And now his opinion is getting some support from at least one local power player. Fox 2's Hannah Saunders with that story.
A friendly debate inside the auto show at the Detroit Economic Club meeting gets a bit heated when Oakland County Executive L. Patterson says the Flint water crisis isn't nearly as bad as people are making it out to be.
I don't think we should start using words anymore like Flint's been poisoned, because I don't think that's accurate.
Patterson says he changed his mind after hearing the account of Bill Ballinger, a Republican political analyst in Flint, who says he is showing no signs of lead poisoning after drinking the water.
Because I've been using words like Flint's been poisoned. I won't use that anymore because I think the jury's out.
The other three on the panel disagree on the effects of lead proven in the people who unknowingly drank the contaminated Flint River water for a year. Many children have already tested positive for elevated levels, and the effects are not expected to materialize for another few years.
What are the lead levels and the learning disabilities that these kids may have? That's what I want to identify. The real issue is these children have been exposed to lead levels that are going to affect their learning ability for years in ways that we don't know.
I would have made my emergency management center and myself personally located in that city of Flint.
Patterson still calls this a crisis, and along with other panelists, he expects more from Governor Snyder.
He's going to have to say, hey, I screwed up. My departments were not well managed, not aggressive enough. They work for me, and therefore it reflects on me.
Others agree there's a need for more transparency and action.
Does the governor step up and say, I can't change what's happened in the past, but I'm going to be with the children of Flint as you grow up in the future? The state's going to be there to wrap your arms around you. That's what I think people are waiting to hear.
In Detroit, Hannah Saunders.
All right. So, yeah, man, L. Patterson tried to minimize what the hell was going on in Flint because of a relationship that he has with someone else. Someone else said, hey, I drank the water and I ain't had no effects of this whatsoever. I'm not poisoned. It wasn't a poison in the Flint. Well, we know so much that otherwise is happening. We already see the effects. We've already seen people like the spike in Legionnaire's disease is going on. And we've already seen people losing hair and people having rashes all over their body for drinking and bathing in that water in Flint. So it was really fucking disappointing. Well, I can't even say I'm disappointed. I never really have any expectations when it comes to L. Patterson. And I know a lot of y'all might not even know who L. Patterson is, but because of what the fuck L. Patterson said, and because he tried to diminish what the hell was going on in Flint, L. Patterson is also Spann Report podcast Ass Hat of the Week.
Yo, we got some hats now, motherfuckers.
Yo, real talk, man. Just drink the water. If you don't believe the motherfuckers was poison, if you don't believe it was anything wrong with the water in Flint, go ahead and drink it. Show it. Show and prove, dog. Show and prove. Yeah, man. But of course, what I tried to do with the show is not only point out the ass hats this year, man. I it's not to only point out the ass hats, but of course, we gotta also highlight our champs of the week as well, man. Uh-oh.
The champ is here. 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 The champ is here.
All right. Now, this week's champ of the week here at the Spann Report is a few people. We got a few people who are the champ of the week this week. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys who have brought awareness to what's going on in Flint, who have donated time, money, and effort to what's going on in Flint. And it's something that's sorely needed. And it's also something that like kind of I'm happy that it's brought people on one common accord. And I kind of want to shout out Cher. Cher has donated 130,000 bottles of water to the city of Flint, man. Meek Mill, who's been taking a lot of L's on social media as of late, but Meek Mill has donated up to 60,000 bottles of water to the city of Flint. I want to say fuck you to 50 Cent, because 50 Cent was here not too long ago, maybe a few months ago, promoting his motherfucking effing vodka. He was just here a few months ago, going to liquor stores in the inner city, promoting effing vodka, while Meek Mill was actually like, yo, man, how about we go ahead talking all this shit? Go ahead and donate some of this water to these people who are in need of it. And 50 Cent made a joke about this shit. So I want to say fuck 50 Cent on that. But Meek Mill gave 60,000 bottles of water to the city of Flint. President Obama has pledged $80 million in federal aid to the city of Flint to kind of alleviate what's going on there. I don't know whether or not that's going towards the infrastructure. I don't know whether or not that's going towards the donation of bottled water or filters for a lot of the residents of Flint. And I would really hope that it would go towards the infrastructure, because a lot of it is based upon the infrastructure that kind of facilitated the level of lead that had been leaching into the water in that city. But also, I want to shout out a fellow podcaster who is doing the work. And I want to shout out Leslie Mack of the Interracial John podcast, also of the Ferguson Response Network. Currently, she is putting forth a crowdfunding effort to raise $2,500 towards delivering water to public housing residents of the city of Flint and to the Genesee County prisoners who are, as we speak, still drinking the water that is being supplied by the Flint River that we know is poisoned with lead. So I want to give a special shout out to Leslie Mack. She is definitely a Spann Report Champ of the Week for the work that she's put in to alleviate the situation that's going on in Flint, Michigan. Much love and respect. There's a link to the crowdfunding effort. There's a link to Leslie Mack's crowdfunding effort on the SpannReport.com. Go there, click that link, donate what you can towards this effort to get these people the water that they sorely need, and it'll be very much appreciated. I would appreciate it if you guys did it. I'm pretty sure Leslie and the Ferguson Response Network and the Interracial John Podcast, I'm pretty sure that they would love for you guys to go ahead and to give whatever you can towards getting the people of Flint, even the prisoners and the public housing people who have been forgotten in this whole thing, to give what you can. And so for her efforts, man, Leslie Mack, along with Cher, Meek Mill, and Obama, are the Spann Report Champs of the Week. Yeah, man. Yeah, we're coming up towards the end of the show, and of course, I got to get to the listener feedback portion of the show, and I've got one email here. And this email comes from, this is from Reggie. And Reggie emails the show to say, congratulations on the 100th episode, Mr. Spann. Thank you, brother. It was a long time coming, to be sure, but honestly, I'm just glad you're still doing the show. Excuse me. I remember when there wouldn't be an episode for months and wondering if you had given up on podcasting. Glad to see you're still doing it. Yeah, man. I don't know how many people who are with me now, who are still listening, remember that. But yeah, there was some times where it looked as if like the podcast would probably die. And it wasn't for not like wanting to do it. It really was everything about how I could produce it and how I can bring it to you guys on a consistent basis. Everything isn't a joke. And like I said many a time, I used to try to be so funny on this show, and I'm not a comedian like that. I'm just not. And I couldn't sustain that. And so like the way I do the show now allows me to just pretty much say what I feel into this microphone, man. And, I speak for the people who rock with me. And I try to stay true to that and being completely honest and being completely transparent. So I appreciate you for rocking with your boy for this long, man. Real talk. It would be really cool if you reach 200 shows this year, but I know that's asking a lot. Yeah, that is asking a lot, man. I work a full-time job. I have a wife. I have a daughter. Sometimes life gets in the way of a lot of things, but I do have some things planned this year. Might not necessarily be Spann Report related, but I do have another show that me and my wife are currently developing as we speak. So I know you guys were like at the end of the last year, I put out the poll what you guys wanted to see more of for 2016. And the two top things you guys wanted to see was more episodes during the week. And you guys wanted to hear from Mrs. Spann. And I'm trying to work on that. I'm definitely working on that. Yeah, man, it's going to be a thing. Like I can't tell you that it was going to be a lot of Spann Report episodes, but it's definitely going to be a new show. I can't give you guys a certain date as to when that new show is going to come about, but it definitely will be the start like this year. There's going to be a new Spann Report type show on the Spann Report. There's going to be like a network, right? But like there's going to be another show that I do in conjunction with my wife for you guys later on in the year. Let's see. My damn phone then timed out. Also, anyway, I wanted to ask you if you had a chance to read the recent R. Kelly article that was in GQ magazine, and if you had any thoughts on that at all. It was an interesting read to say the least. Okay. Well, that's all I got, Mr. Spann. Once again, congratulations on 100 episodes. Thanks, Reggie. Thank you for writing into the show again. Once again, brother. I did get a chance to read that R. Kelly interview in GQ magazine, and what I will say is this: it was an interesting read, and it kind of spoke to some of the things that I've been trying to articulate here on the show for quite a while when it comes to sexual assault and when it comes to sexual abuse and what have you. And what I found interesting in that particular article was that R. Kelly spoke about him being abused as a child, that some man had offered him money to masturbate him and that he refused, and that some woman in his family repeatedly had sex with him as a child, and that it went on for years, right? And that he never told anybody. He never told anybody. I thought that was profoundly interesting. And the reason that I found it profoundly interesting was because when I was talking about Bill Cosby, and I was getting so much pushback from dudes about what was going on with Bill Cosby, and dudes were talking about, well, why these women didn't say anything and everything else, right? They waited all these years to talk about Bill Cosby. Why didn't they say anything? And here's R. Kelly, who a lot of us consider a bit of a predator when it comes to young teenage girls. He even spoke about like a generational curse where this was being passed down through his family and everything else, right? But what I thought was really interesting when everybody kept talking about the victims of, or the purported victims or the alleged victims of Bill Cosby, that these women waited all these years to say anything. And R. Kelly spoke to his own abuse, and he said this happened for years, and he never said anything. As a matter of fact, he even said that he sometimes looked forward to it, although he would portray that he didn't. Then he never even mentioned it to anybody until he was doing his autobiography in 2012, the Solar Coaster book. Right? He never mentioned it to anybody, not even his wife. And that was the thing that I found very interesting. I'm wondering right now how many dudes are going to question R. Kelly and say, hey, why you ain't say nothing earlier? Why didn't you say anything when it happened? Right? In much the same way that we don't necessarily question the dudes who came forward to say that Jerry Sandusky was abusing them. And they didn't come forward until they were adults, sometimes in their 30s and 40s. They didn't say anything to anybody. And Jerry Sandusky is in jail right now. Or when we talk about the Catholic priest scandal, where a lot of their victims were young men, young boys who didn't come forward for years. But everybody comes down on the Catholic Church, rightfully so, because of the abuse that took place. And so I found that very interesting. I found that very interesting that we don't necessarily question dudes when it comes to their sexual assault. We pretty much like, hey, that should happen to him. We don't question them in much the same way that we question young women, young girls. We ask why they did certain things, how they allowed certain things to happen to them, what they were doing in this room, what were they wearing. We make all sorts of excuses for why something happened to them. And R. Kelly, who a lot of us, and I know I'm convinced, but a lot of us know had inappropriate relationships with underage girls, and we don't necessarily question that. We don't necessarily question, you know, even with R. Kelly, like, yo, man, why haven't you said anything about this? You know, and I know this is early. Like, I know a lot of people who probably just reading that article, like, hey, man, like, yeah, R. Kelly was abused, but nobody's saying anything about it. Like, I'm wondering how much that's going to carry over, right? That's the one thing that I kind of took away from that, Reggie. Especially considering what I've been really trying to forward and push forth in this conversation about sexual assault, especially when it concerns women and girls, how we don't take it seriously. And it's a conversation that's sorely fucking needed. We gotta have it. We gotta stop pushing it under the rug. We gotta stop protecting motherfuckers who are perpetuators of this entire thing, man. And another thing too, if you guys get a chance, there's an article on the I think it's BuzzFeed News where they talk about the instances of sexual assault that was happening on the Atlanta University campus, or I forget exactly what the acronym is. It's AUC or AUC, like Morehouse, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, Morris Brown, where a lot of the sisters there were having encounters with brothers where sexual assault happened and nobody took them seriously. And I will have that. I would have, as a matter of fact, Reggie, I'm glad you asked me this, man, because now it's got me like in this shit. But I will have a link to that on the SpannReport.com, so you guys can check that out for yourself. As a matter of fact, it will be available on this particular episode. So if you go to the SpannReport.com and you check out this episode 101, Nobody's Distracted, you can check that out for yourself, man. It's a damn good read. And it speaks to our lack of action, our lack of attention that we pay to this, and the fact that we cover up a lot of shit when it comes to protecting Black men when it concerns sexual assault. Because I think a lot of this is rooted in a misinformed view of social or racial solidarity. And I'm not one for that solidarity. And when it comes to this, I'm just not. And as a father of a young girl and as a husband, that's not something I can co-sign. So yeah, thank you, Reggie, for writing in, and I appreciate you listening to the Spann Report, brother. And I hope to hear from you again soon, man. Real talk. But of course, before I get out of here, I gotta let you guys know how to hit me up here at the Spann Report podcast. Again, let your voice be heard. You can hit me up at the hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave me those voicemail messages. Of course, I will play those on the show. And of course, I respond to you in kind. You can also email the show at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. I will read those emails, and of course, I'll reply to those emails right here live on the show. You can also follow your man on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms, of course, is Mr._Spann. Chop it up with me throughout the week, and we can talk. We can talk about a whole lot of things outside of the show. But follow me on Twitter and Instagram on both at Mr._Spann. You can also leave me your ass hat of the week submissions, man. Tell me who you want me to talk about. I'll talk shit about them. asshat@thespannreport.com. Send me all of those submissions at asshat@thespannreport.com. And for also leave a review. It helps the show. 5 stars preferably. Those 5-star reviews get read here on the show. Leave a review, preferably 5 stars on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio, and I appreciate it deeply if you guys would go ahead and leave a review on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio for the Spann Report. And for all of your Spann Report needs, man, go to www.thespannreport.com All of the videos to the podcast are available there. All of the videos to the audio that I use during the podcast are available there. Each and every podcast that I've ever done is available at thespanreport.com. And yeah, man, I appreciate you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys for watching. And until next time, fam, peace.